Hey Creative Media Reps, it's Jeremy again over at Central. We're going to be showing you today how to edit a graphics document in Adobe InDesign. That's kind of Adobe's like document editing software. There's videos that we've also done for how to edit graphics in Photoshop and then also Illustrator. So this one we're going to be taking you through one of your potty pub templates, your 8.5 by 11 letter size templates that would go up in the bathrooms or whatever. And I'm just going to be showing you how to edit text and add text and just kind of work with that file. So today we'll be working in Adobe InDesign. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here we have, I've got Adobe InDesign open. I'm just going to go ahead and go to File and Open. And we're going to navigate as soon as our share drive comes up here, I'm going to navigate to where our media toolboxes are. You all should be familiar with this folder. If not, it's a great place to find all kinds of templates and resources that centrally we provide you so that you can do like campus specific graphics and stuff. So here we have the share, go to experience, go to the media toolboxes, and we are going to do a potty pub template that's got the serving branding on it. So anytime you're doing a serving push, this would be what you would use. So that's going to live in the event and campaign toolbox. And then I'm going to go down here to serving and this 8.5 by 11 folder. And here we have an INDD file as InDesign. And so I'm going to go ahead and click open on that. Okay. If you'll notice one thing, I don't know what that is. Notice how it kind of comes up initially and it kind of maybe look a little pixelated. There's a way in InDesign you can change that view. Initially you can go to View, Display Performance, and right now it's on Typical Display. If I go to High Quality Display, it kind of cleans it up and you get your cleaner look and you actually get to see what it looks like a little better. So here's my initial potty pub template. It's just a blank background. It also comes up just showing you what the document would look like. If I hit the W key on my keyboard, it gives me it gives me the edit view. It shows me like where my margins are. It looks like, off the top of my head, this looks like probably like a 1/2 inch margin set up. You can change margins and some layout settings and stuff here in margins if you want to. But this is kind of the graphic that we already have set up for you. So from this point, what I'm going to want to do at your campus, you may have a certain amount of content. Maybe it's hiding out in like a Word document or something. So you can copy that text and then place that text in here. So what we're going to do in InDesign, you're going to go over here in your toolbar and you see this type tool. If I hover on it, I get it says type tool. I'm going to click that. Now I have this kind of type cursor here, and if I just go over here and I line it up kind of on this margin, I think by default InDesign has like snap to margins set up. So if I click anywhere near that margin, it's gonna actually grab it to the margin. And if I just go ahead and drag that down to the corner down here to where my margins are, I let go. Now I have this text box, and you can see when I let go of that, I get this blinking cursor. So now I have this text box. I can start typing text in there or whatever. Now that text box is there, if I hit escape, it kind of brought me out of the edit mode for that text box, and now it's selected as kind of an object. Here there's this bounding box here. You have these corners you can grab if you want to reshape or resize that text box. If you'll notice right here in the middle, if I have that text box selected, right here in the middle is another little thing I can grab onto, and that's just going to like make me able to make that text box taller or shorter. You don't want your text box coming up and overlaying the serving graphic, so I'd probably grab the top of that text box and put it somewhere in here, so that my text, when I start typing it out, doesn't interfere with the header graphic or anything. Once I have that text box kind of the shape and size I want, I can either click my type tool again over here and then click inside that box, or right now I can just double click, have that text box selected. I can just double click in it, and then now I get my cursor again. So at this point, if you have text that that you want to edit, you can go in there and do that. I don't have any text selected now, but what I can do is I can right click, and I'll just kind of show you. I right click, and where is it? I can do fill with placeholder text. And so it kind of gives me this like lorem ipsum, you know, just dummy text. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just to fill some space. So at this point, I can, you know, there are several options that I have. If I select all my text over here in the paragraphs palette, if I don't want any of my words to hyphenate, kind of like it is right here, I can select all my text and I can click that hyphenate off, and then it's going to reorder, and like it's not going to allow anything to hyphenate. That's just one option. You know, if I select all my text here, now over here I have up here in the top left, I have my text options where I can choose my font. I can choose the font weight and font style, like if I want to do italics or regular or medium or bold or whatever. I can change the font size, you know, make the text really big. I'm going to do Command Z to undo that. That's a great shortcut to know on your keyboard. Command Z, or if you're on a PC, Control Z is undo. So it takes me right back to where I was. So at this point, you know, if we want to use Helvetica, for example, I go up here, I type in Helvetica. So I've got Helvetica New Regular there for a body copy. That's a great option. It's very readable. 12 point, depending on how much text you have. You know, if you have, if I go in here and I want to just copy maybe like a couple of lines or something, I'm going to copy just a couple of lines. I'm going to get rid of all that. So if I had just a couple lines of copy, I probably don't want it small. I want it to fill the area more. So I maybe want to make that a little bigger, you know, just so someone can read it. And, you know, depending on the design, I may want to center it up. So up here you have, up in this bar up here, you have all kinds of editing options. Some of them are more complex, and we won't be going over that today. I just wanted to show you guys some of the easy stuff, like picking your font size. Up here you have align left, align center, align right. Those are pretty self-explanatory. If I do have just that amount of copy, I may want to bump it down to kind of center it up on the page more. If I hit W again on my keyboard, without anything else selected, again, it's going to kind of show me my print view versus, you know, here's my edit view, here's my print view. And so that's kind of how you'd edit text. If I want to change the color of the text, again, you select all your text. Over here, you have what's called a swatches palette right here. By default, that should probably come up. I'm going to grab this and drag it down to reveal some more of my colors. So over here you get some, like, you know, some default colors in InDesign. Right now I'm on black. If I wanted to do more of like a gray option, I would highlight all that. I would click black, and then right here in my tint window thing right here, my tint selector, you can make that like 70% black. And now you got more of a gray instead of black. And you can do different tints of any different color, but I'll put that back to 100%. So that's now back to 100% black. If I wanted to change colors, I select all that text, and I can do, you know, let's do this, you know, red color. Text is red. And again, what you're going to want to do is go through, we always have the brand standards guidelines on the creative media page on the staff portal. That'll tell you kind of what colors, what typefaces, what different options go with kind of each brand. If all else fails, like on this one, for example, like I don't think we actually have a brand standards for serving because we use it, we don't use it too often. So a good kind of default or rule of thumb is black text is never bad, very readable, you know, in the bathrooms, on the potty pub. So that's never a bad idea. Obviously you're going to want to pick a font that is very readable and not something that's like really stylized. Because if you know, you're putting information on here that you want people to walk away and remember or whatever, so it needs to be readable, and someone shouldn't have a really hard time being able to look at it and strain to try to figure out what it says. So Helvetica is again obviously a great font for that. I'm gonna change that back to black. So there's all my text. You know, if I wanted to do like a headline on this, I could, you know, return down a couple spaces. I could come back up here and maybe in all caps, I want to say like, you know, like June serving push or something like that. So I type in June serving push. I'm going to highlight that text, And to call it out a little more, I maybe want to bump it up a couple of point sizes. Let's do like 24 on that, and let's change it from Helvetica regular to Helvetica bold. And so now I have a nice headline. Again, if I deselect everything and I hit the W key, it's going to show me what the print version of that's going to look like. So again, pretty simple ways to edit text in InDesign. Nothing really that complicated there. Once I'm done with that and I have whatever information on here I want text-wise, you know, this text box is pretty big. I maybe not need it. I don't need it all the way down to the bottom of the page since there's not that much text there. So if you see, you know, if you highlight your text box and you see this middle square that you can grab, if you double click that, it's gonna automatically resize your text box to the amount of text you have. So you saw it jump up there. Let's say at this point I want to go ahead and add a lifechurch.tv logo down here on the bottom of that. That's a good idea, right? So what I'm going to do in InDesign to place that graphics file is I'm going to go to File and Place, or if you like keyboard shortcuts, you can see here that that's Command D, or probably Control D on a PC. So File, Place. This is going to pop up and it's going to ask me, hey, you want to place a file, but where exactly is that file that you want to place? So I'm going to navigate for it. We should have a lifechurch.tv logo on the media toolbox. So kind of like we did earlier, I'm going to navigate to the Share, Experience, Media Toolbox, and let's see, where would that logo be? Campus Toolboxes maybe? Life Church? Is it there? Maybe not. Ministries. Yeah, okay. So Ministry Toolbox, Life Church, logos. And then let's see here what this looks like. There's an all black one. Maybe I want the color one instead. So here we go. lclogo.jpg. I can see over here that it's in color. I'm going to go ahead and click open. And see now that I have, before I've clicked anything, I have what Adobe calls a loaded cursor. Meaning my cursor, you can kind of see how it has that semi-transparent LC logo sitting in there. That's just showing you that, hey, you have a loaded cursor, you have a file in there. As soon as you click, it's going to place that file. So I could click anywhere, but I know I'm going to place the file down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to click down here at the bottom. That logo is pretty big, obviously, so what I can do is I can come over here and I can grab the corner, and as long as I'm holding Shift and I click that corner and I kind of drag it down, and you can see it being resized. Holding Shift and dragging is going to maintain your aspect ratio, and what that means is that you're not going to skew or shrink or squash that logo in any way. It's going to maintain a good size. And so if I hold Shift, click that corner, and I drag it down, and I let go, now you can see, well, that didn't really resize the logo. What I have to do now is I have to select that, and then up here, this one last step, up here in your very top bar, about a little over 3/4 of the way to the right, you see this icon right here. It says Fit Content to Frame. And if I click that, now my logo is back to the correct size inside that box. Again, to me, that's, for this piece, that's still pretty big. So I'm going to click that again. I'm going to hold Shift and drag that corner down even more. Once again, I need to go back up here and hit that Fit Content to Frame button, and if you hover over those, it'll tell you what they are. So I want that first one called Fit Content to Frame. I'm going to click that, and that's a good size now. And so what I want to do now is, it's off over here to the side, and I'm thinking to myself, it would look way better if that was centered, and I want it exactly in the center. I don't want to have to eyeball it or try to figure out what the center is. One way to do that is I can click it. Once I click that, where you were a while ago on that Fit Content to Frame button, just to the right of that, you'll see some of these little shapes and symbols. These are your alignment tools. All the way in the top right, though, there's this little icon, and if you drop it down, you get to pick differently, like, okay, what do I want to align this object to? Do I want to align it to another object? Do I want to align it within my margins? What I want to align it to is the entire page. So if I have Align to Page clicked, and then I click Align Horizontal Centers, it's going to jump to the middle of the page. And I know for a fact that, InDesign has measured that this document's 8.5 inches wide. And so it's going to put it, if you'll notice, if I select this now, you know, it's right in the middle of the page. It's jumped right where I want it. And then I'm just going to grab it and move it down to where it's sitting right on that margin. And again, if I deselect everything and click off over here to the side and hit W, now that's a good size logo. It's at the bottom of the page. I know it's centered horizontally on the page, and it all looks good. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and probably export this as maybe like a PDF. To do that, you're going to go up here to your file menu. You're going to go to export. Again, keyboard shortcut, you can do Command or on PC, Control and E. That's for export. So Command E or Control E for export. And I'm just going to throw this on my desktop for now. And again, you can give it a specific name if you wanted to, but servingpottypub.pdf is great. If by default this export box didn't come up and have the Adobe PDF print highlighted, you can just drop that menu down and make sure it's on Adobe PDF print, because again, this is a piece that I'm going to print and hang up in the bathroom probably. So Adobe PDF print, I'm going to hit save. And much like in Photoshop and Illustrator, I get this dialog box. That's this PDF dialog box. If you're printing things internally, I know at Life Church we don't have internal printers that are able to print bleeds like all the way to the edge. So in this case, you're not going to need to mess with any of the bleed settings or anything like that, crop marks. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and this top menu, I'm going to drop it down. Again, remember always for print pieces, you want to always select press quality because that's the highest print quality you can get on a PDF. I have this option selected called View PDF after exporting. I like to select that because it's going to automatically open Acrobat and show me what that PDF looks like when I'm done. I always just like to give it a quick once over, you know, before I put it in a folder or wherever, just to make sure it looks the way I want it to. So I'm going to go ahead now. Those settings are all fine. Most of the default settings are fine. I'm going to click Export, and that should bring it up in Adobe Acrobat. Yeah, here it comes. So I've got my PDF here now. It's got the serving branding. It's got the text that we put on there, and then it's got the lifechurch.tv logo that we placed on there. So that's how you add and edit text, some simple options, and then I also showed you how to place and kind of resize and center up a graphic as well. So that should get you where you need to be for any sort of like PottyPub templates. Thanks again.